Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to take a vehicle that has not been maintained and really feels like one of those jobs that you're not going to make any money because it's just in bad shape. And I'm going to share with you 4 things you can do to take it from really bad shape to looking really awesome without having to put in the 10 hours for a paint correction and a total makeover. So as you guys are checking out the before of this Jeep Wrangler, it's a little over 10 years old and it's not maintained. It sits outside all the time. So it's got your basic wear and tear, but as you guys are going to see, it also has totally faded plastic trim. It's got wheels that are corroded by all the brake dust. The windows are beat up, and it's got a ton of clear coat failure where it almost looks like the car has like leprosy is probably the best way I know how to describe it. So I want to share with you guys the first major thing that I do in a situation like this to make this car look dramatically different from the before and the after. But before I do that, I want to give you guys a little insight into how I'm thinking about this. With a vehicle that has this kind of clear coat failure, faded trim, swirl marks, and just everything you could think of, if you just detail it the regular way that, say, you do an average vehicle, the after is not actually going to look very different than the before. And so you run into this problem of my customer just paid me a significant amount of money, or, $100, whatever it is, and there's not really a visual difference that appeals to them. And I don't really know how to explain to them exactly what I did and why, while yes, it is detailed, it doesn't really look that different because of the previous condition of the paint. So there does have to be some sort of repair or correction that has to happen with a vehicle like this, but I can't actually do paint correction because I'd rip the clear coat off of it because it's, again, failing because of all those UV rays that have been hitting it for the past 12 years and, of course, the lack of maintenance that's been happening. So the first thing I want to do is address the headlights. The headlights looked horribly foggy, horribly yellow beforehand. And I want to take those from really disgusting to totally clear. So I'm using Cerakote's Headlight Restoration Kit in order to do that because it allows me to do it really, really quickly. And that's what I'm looking for in a situation like this. What are these simple, straightforward, fast add-ons that I can do here that are going to create that visually appealing, different after look than the before? That's not going to happen with just your regular detailing, hence why I have to do the headlight restoration. So for those of you who are watching this, you probably know, but basically I'm simply sanding off the yellowed, oxidized, cloudy part of the headlight, that clear coat that's been degraded over time, sanding it off using a wet sanding to make sure all that gunk flows down, taped off the edges to make sure I don't damage anything. Then after the sanding is finished, I'm going to make sure it's completely dry because this particular headlight restoration kit does not play very well with water. And then I'm going to take their ceramic wipe and basically allow it to fill in those tiny scratches and bring it back to that clear, non-oxidized look. It's also ceramic protection, which is just an add-on. That's going to be basically a permanent protection for the headlights. That is the number one thing that I'm doing here because it's going to be such a stark contrast between the first look and the after look, and that is the kind of thing I'm looking for to do in a job like this. It's also very, very quick when I use that particular headlight restoration kit, so it meets my demands of I need it to be fast and I need it to provide a very obvious before and after difference. The second thing I want to do is, this is going to sound really simple and straightforward, but I want to make sure the tires and the wheel wells are popping because you guys see this is kind of a lifted Jeep. The tire sidewall is huge and you can really see into that wheel well. So not only am I going to be detailing it out as far as just cleaning is concerned, but I'm also going to be using Renegade's landslide tire coating on that wheel well, that inner part of the wheel well, as well as the tires, because I want to put more than just a dressing on it. I want to put a coating onto this thing so that it stays that way, but it also has that awesome shine before and after. Just to give you guys a little bit of an insight, because the brake dust was so heavy in this situation and it's corrosive, it's corroded into the inner barrel of the wheel, I pull out my drill brush to see how much of it can be addressed, and I basically just conclude over time as I use this one wheel kind of as an experiment, which just goes to show Not even I, after 10 years of doing this, know how every single situation is going to come out, so I have to do a little bit of trial and error as I'm working sometimes. But I basically just conclude that I'm going to hit the face of the wheel and not the inner barrel, because the only way to get these wheels even remotely better would be to remove the wheel and attack them in a much different way. And my customer is not paying for that, so it's just not necessary. But I am using the Jax Wax HD wheel and tire cleaner, which I really, really like. But that being said, I want to get back to my second point here. I want to make the wheel wells and the tires pop simply because this is going to be the first thing that catches your eye when it comes to this Jeep Wrangler. And this kind of starts a conversation that's a very, very important one. Where do you focus your energy as you are detailing, and where do you not focus your energy as you are detailing? And while that sounds very self-evident and straightforward, it is something that pulls profitability away from auto detailers all the time. They are focusing on things they don't need to focus on, and therefore not able to give the proper amount of focus to things that actually matter. What I mean in this particular situation, to give you some specific examples so it illustrates better in your head as you're thinking about this, the wheels and the tires and the wheel wells are what first catch your eye with this Jeep. The paint itself is not what first catches your eye with this Jeep. The paint is also, like I said, degrading, and we see a lot of clear coat failure on this paint. So I'm not going to be able to improve the paint at a significant level enough to really justify spending a bunch of time on it, which is why I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to take care of the paint a little bit later in this video. But because of the nature of the paint I'm dealing with, it's something that is actually not my fault, right? While I would love to make the paint dramatically improved, it's just not going to happen. So I have to decipher as the detailer and discern where I need to spend my focus and where I don't need to spend my focus. It's why I spend a more significant amount of time with the wheels, tires, and the wheel wells in this particular situation. It's going to be a more dramatic before and after, and that is what I'm going for here. Now, that being said, I want to address the inner barrel of the wheel problem here, because the inner barrel of the wheel is basically looks like rust, okay? I didn't really zoom in on it, but because that brake dust has so heavily corroded that inner barrel of the wheel, you actually face this problem of, if I were to try to clean it at some level pretty intensely, I'm going to get a worse after result than I would have before, because while yes, it is dirty on the inner barrel of the wheel, and because that brake dust has corroded, I'm not going to be able to clean it fully without taking the wheel off. If I try to clean it and actually clean some of it, you actually, yes, get a cleaner wheel, I guess, by some sort of percentage, but you also get a non-uniform appearance on the inner barrel of the wheel. So while the entire inner barrel looks almost kind of red, like copper, like the color of rust, because of all that corrosion, when I clean it, some of those areas get back to that regular sort of powder coat black finish. And because I don't want a non-uniform appearance, I am not going to be cleaning the inner barrel of the wheel. Now, I want to get on to my third major point here of why I'm washing it this way, and the third major point of how to get dramatic befores and afters. One major thing to note, if you have not been detailing or you haven't seen, hundreds of cars like I have, potentially over 1,000, maybe a couple thousand, I lost track years ago. If you've not seen a ton of cars, you might not have experienced this before, but when you have paint like this that's very old, oxidized, and potentially failing the clear coat in some areas, you can't just wash this, decontaminate it, and put some sort of protection like a sealant or a wax on it. In fact, only certain areas of the paint are even going to basically allow you to put a wax or a sealant on it. Not every area will allow the wax to cure to the paint, because wax, again, or sealants or ceramics for that matter, are designed to cure to the clear coat layer. Because that clear coat layer is so damaged or even sometimes not there, that wax, sealant, or ceramic product is not going to cure to that area. So the question becomes, with my third major point, how do I make the paint look great even though I can't take care of it in the specific way and in the normal way that I get great results with other vehicles? And just by the way, I'm cleaning the black trim here just with a 5-to-1 dilution of super clean degreaser here, because I want to do that before I move to actually dressing the black trim. Now, real fast, guys, if you like this information, smash the like button if you think other people should hear this, and if you think this this information is genuinely helpful and will allow you to become more profitable or more efficient as an auto detailer. If that's the case, hit the thumbs up button because it helps this video rank in the YouTube algorithm and would therefore help it get out to more people. So before we do anything else, just smash the like button. Now, as I was saying, the reason why I cannot address the paint like I normally would is because the condition that the paint is in. So the question becomes, how do I get not only a detailed and clean surface, but also how do I get that shiny sort of red pop so that when my customer walks up, that's what they see? Well, the obvious question would be, hey, you need to detail and put a wax or a sealant on it to really bring that luster out. But because I can't do it here, I'm defaulting to one of my staples in my auto detailing business, which is Optimum No Rinse. That is the product you saw me put in that black 5-gallon bucket with the distilled water. The reason I'm using distilled water is because I'm detailing this vehicle in the direct sun. It's going to help me avoid water spots, but it's also because I'm not having to implement the 2-bucket wash method or even a pre-foaming method in this situation. Because the paint is in such degraded condition, there would be absolutely no sense or no purpose in me doing some sort of specific 2-bucket wash method. So while I do like doing that in some situations, as with everything in detailing, you have to take it on a case-by-case scenario. And in this case, it just doesn't make any logical sense to do something like that. The reason I'm taking the black trim and cleaning it and detailing it out before I do anything else is because obviously I'm getting overspray on the paint with my regular just hose water. And because those are going to create very surface level water spots that would come off with my O&R wash, I go ahead and do that first because I'm very careful about my sequence so that I don't create more work for myself so I have to go back over things. That is very simply why I'm addressing the black trim first. And with a Jeep, you have to be very, very strategic and very systematic in how you approach it. That being said, I am going to be using the Gary Dean method. I've got 5 different microfiber towels in my O&R distilled water solution, and I've got 8 sides to every single microfiber because I've got it folded into fourths like that. So each time I hit a new panel, I will flip it to a clean side of the microfiber, as you can see. And very simply, I'm just going to go systematically around the Jeep. And this is my third major point on how to get the dramatic before and after given the situation that I'm in. I can't take a clay bar to this paint. I can take a clay bar to the windows, which I will, but I can't decontaminate this paint in the traditional way, and I cannot wash it or finish it in the traditional way simply because I need to be very, very careful with the clear coat that is literally flaking off in certain areas. So not only is this going to give me that shiny, not just clean and detailed, but shiny pop waxed finish because it is a wash and wax product, but it is also going to allow me not to take any more of the clear coat off. There's a very specific reason I'm not using a pre-wash, pre-foam, or a regular agitation wash method here with a pressure washer, because not only would I easily strip and flake more of that clear coat off of the paint, but if I was just taking my wash mitt kind of aggressively like I normally do on regular vehicles after I do that pre-wash, pre-foam method or strategy, it's very easy to just run over those areas that are seriously damaged. So because in this case I have the obvious option to use the O&R sort of Gary Dean method, it just becomes a no-brainer because of how careful I can be. And of course I can flip sides each time I go to a new panel, so I'm not introducing anything major to any other part of the car that need not have scratches introduced to it. So that is going to be my third major way I'm creating the more dramatic before and after here than I would otherwise be able to if I wasn't quite as experienced, or in my beginning detailing days, I would have been very discouraged because seeing a Jeep like this that is so damaged and so not taken care of and so not maintained well, you kind of get down thinking, hey, unless I take serious corrective measures, this is going to basically look the same before and after, and my customer is going to be frustrated. And because of that, these strategies are very, very important and could be very, very helpful. As a side note, the reason why I'm washing the back in a sort of different way than I am the rest of the car is because, number one, there's no clear coat damage back there. It's actually in very good condition, partly because it is kind of guarded by the spare tire like most Jeeps are. Secondly, it gets hit barely ever, I guess, relative to like the front of the car as you're driving. Obviously, the front is going to have far more damage than the back for obvious reasons, things like road rash, bug etchings, all that sort of stuff. But thirdly, it's very important to actually get that area clean in that way before you move on to the rest of the car, because obviously I'm going to get overspray on the side that you see I'm detailing now. So I want to go ahead and clean that before I clean the entire front section, so I'm not getting a ton of overspray and having to go back over my work constantly. Now, the fourth major way and kind of the icing on the cake of how I'm going to get this vehicle to really pop when my customer drives up to pick up her Jeep Wrangler is I'm going to restore the black plastic trim. Now, you guys are probably wondering, did you talk to your customer about all these things you were going to do beforehand? Yes and no. I absolutely talked about the black plastic trim, but no, am I charging her full price for the headlight restoration and the coating that I would normally charge for a certain price for to put on the wheel wells and the tire sidewall? I did not charge her full price simply because the price that I gave her was more than sufficient enough to incentivize me to do this work in that price, and separating these things out and breaking them down line by line would only serve to confuse her at the time and potentially make her feel like, hey, this is a bigger job than I thought it was going to be, and I really don't want to be involved. Because the price I gave her and the work I knew I could do was sufficient enough in one single, easy to understand, simple price point, it was a win-win for everybody. However, I made very clear that part of the higher price I was quoting is because I would take the time to restore the entire exterior black trim, as you guys can see in this video. Now, I'm using Solution Finish in this video. Solution Finish is a fantastic product that really is a great, what I would call self-leveling product. Yes, I wipe off the excess, but in many cases, black trim restoration products can be very difficult and finicky, and so I stick to about 3 that I use on a regular basis, and this is one of them. I call this my Old Faithful. I know exactly what I'm going to get with it when I use it. Guys, that is the fourth major thing that I am going to do to this vehicle to make the before and after very, very dramatic so that my customer loves what they are seeing. Now, that being said, I hope this helps give some insight into how you can creatively go about certain detailing strategies, services, and things of that nature to take something that looks very difficult on the front end and almost like you're going to have a disappointed customer to something that works very, very well on the back end. And this is a great way to become more profitable in the auto detailing industry. Again, it's thinking outside of the box. It's thinking differently than most detailers think, but these things will not only give you super happy customers, they will also allow you to detail without being frustrated by the end result and ultimately make more money. I'm talking about $50, $60, $70, even $100 an hour doing this sort of thing. By the way, if you guys notice the dirt on the Jeep, it's because I actually shot this video in 2 different segments at 2 different times. So I actually restored the black plastic trim at a different time than I did the exterior wash there. And so that's why the dirt you see is there, but still included in the same price. I just had to separate it out because of time scheduling. That being said, guys, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps the video rank in the YouTube algorithm, and it's just so easy to do. Also, if you like videos like this and you're not subscribed to the Wilson Auto Detailing channel, just subscribe so you get notified when I put out new videos like this. Tap the bell icon so you get a little ding on your phone so you don't miss any future videos like this that can help you become more profitable in your auto detailing business. And of course, as always, if you want to use any of the products or the tools that I used in this video, then check out the description box below. I will link up all of the products and tools so that you can conveniently find them. Lastly, thank you so much for watching and being involved. And as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and I will see you guys in the next video.